Welcome back to the ABL review. Here we are for week 2 of season 21 in the South Division. I'm your host, Jeremy Lizak. Let's hop into it. That's a Diet Coke, not a beer. I'm not an insane person. It's 9:15 a.m. Also, beer is bread flavored soda. Okay, let's hop into the games. Well, actually, no, let's not do that. First of all, thank you big time to Brett for recording a podcast last week. He didn't have to do that, but he wanted you guys to have something to listen to. Really appreciate it. I know how much work goes into it, so thank you for doing that. Hopefully we won't have to do that again. Not that he did a bad job. It's just I'd like to keep doing this. Okay, now let's hop into the games. Here we go. So first off, we've got Darren taking on Mike. Mike getting relegated down here. He's had a rough start, but that happens to the relegated teams. I think I feel like Dakota struggled a little bit in the first week or two of the South last season, and then obviously we saw Papcoon struggle a little bit. Some people find their feet, some people don't. He struggled definitely in the first week. Let's see how he does here. Darren, been kind of a mainstay, a stalwart in the South, and been performing pretty well in most of the 2 seasons he's been down here, and he's going to want to continue that. So let's hop into it. We've got this lead here, obviously. So Intimidate going off automatically indicates that this is actually not a Zoroark. So that is one little bit of information down. Whenever Landorus comes out, it's not going to be Zoroark. That leaves 4 other things that Zoroark could be disguised as. It's not a lot of information, but it is information. It also tags this thing, so now A is it's burnt, and that's a big deal. And B, it is also even easier to identify that it's not a Zoroark. Because I guess what could happen is if you brought, if you U-turn killed something with Serena and then brought in Landorus, the Intimidate wouldn't go off, thus not giving away whether or not it was Zoroark. But also we know that Zoroark's not disguised as Landorus, so it doesn't matter. So we get a little U-turn here into the Bisharp and then hard switch into Tinglu. I think that's a good call. But also this U-turns, so it actually is Zoroark. So now we know that Zoroark is currently disguised as Bisharp. So that's always good information to have. Now you don't need to worry about this being Zoroark. Just get a nice knockoff there. Gets rid of the Rocky Helmet on Skarmory. Great helmet, or great item on that Pokemon, especially against such a U-turny metagame. I think it's perfect for Skarmory. Right now it feels like there's a lot of switching going on. So obviously there's a lot of switching going on for Mike's team, and he's just not really finding the matchups he wants. That's the thing about Switch Initiative, is just because you're switching a lot, if your opponent always has hard counters or hard checks to hard checks, hard counters. If your opponent has hard counters to all the things you want to go into, then having the Switch Initiative doesn't help too much. You kind of need to control the hazard game as well, and there isn't really a push for Mike to get up his hazards. I think that would help the style of team he has a lot if he was able to get up hazards at some point. So, hopping back into it. Missed this Power Whip. Doesn't really matter. That wouldn't have done a ton. But now the Zoroark comes out. This is actually not the Zoroark. Sorry, now the Zoroark comes out, but this is actually not the Zoroark. This is in fact the Bisharp. Now, this could have been Mike trying to get up Stealth Rocks, but it was just this took so much damage. I know this is Choice Specs and Amorous, but I guess this might not be Eviolite Bisharp is what I'm guessing. I can't really tell. That does so much damage, it's crazy. Now, we do know that Zoroark's disguise is gone, so we know we're going to be able to tell if it's Landorus, right, for 2 reasons. And then there's 2 other Pokemon, then there's 3 other Pokemon that come out that could potentially be Zoroark, except for the Slowking. Slowking can't be, you'll catch that because it's not at full HP. But whenever the Serena or Sneasler comes in, gotta watch out for if it's Zoroark. So this is such an opportunity here. If there's a Scarf Zoroark with Sludge Bomb or something, could take out the Enamorous. So Darren's going to have to be careful here. He goes hard into the Skarmory, which is great because it checks both the Sneasler and the Skarmory. And also U-turn keeps up the facade of whether or not it's Zoroark or Hisuian Sneasler. No, not Hisuian Sneasler, regular Sneasler. Slowking comes in. Obviously, we know that's not the Zoroark, but we still have 2 potential disguises floating around out there. This is a fun, like, side game that's going on in the battle. It's the easiest way to kind of track stuff, but so we see his Scald come out. Unfortunately, it doesn't grab a burn. That would have been kind of a nice little thing to help him chip some stuff down. You know, able to kind of block the Will-O-Wisp there with this Landorus. Swords Dance comes up. Risky to do it in front of a Rotom Wash, because it could just Hydro Pump you and kill you. Maybe this was Darren's attempt to like pull a double here and get in on something else coming in. But I guess it's not too dangerous for him. So we got Swords Dance, U-turn, and then we see an Earthquake come out on this. Does a pretty good amount of damage for being burned. Granted, it is also Swords Dance. But, you know, get that chip on Dragapult. That could definitely help in the long run. So we'll stop here. Mike's obviously fallen behind a little bit. I still think he has a great win con in Sneasler. But here's the things that he needs to have cleared, okay? Right now, there is a Steel type that's going to block his Poison Jabs. There's a Dark type that's going to... Or, sorry, not Dark type. A Ghost type that's going to block his close combats. And if he goes for Night Slash or something else, there's a full health Fairy type and a quite healthy, very defensive Dark type. Right now, he doesn't have anything he can lock himself into late game. If he were to get rid of Enamorus and Dragapult, then yeah, there's probably an opening for him. If he can get rid of the Skarmory and the Ting-Lu, then there's probably an opening for him for Gunk Shot or Poison Jab or whatever he has. But he's quickly falling behind in that regard. So now the Serena comes out, and it's showed knockoff before and stuff. Serena won't die to a Dragon Darts, but what will die to a Dragon Darts is Hisuian Zoroark. That was a good read by Darren there. He caught this. He either caught that it was Hisuian Zoroark, or he didn't care about the Dragapult going down to a potential knockoff. He's still positioned well either way. I know I talked about, like, you know, got to get rid of these types. That way he's got a way open. But he's got 2 Pokemon at least that can cover any move that Hisuian Sneasler can go for. I keep saying that. Sneasler can go for, but you don't have to worry about it because you have 2 backups. So I guess it's worth it to go risky on this. And he catches the Hisuian Zoroark. That is that game off the table. He's up 6-3. He's in a fantastic position now. And I really don't think he has a good win con from here. He's got nothing that can block these Volt Switches. He's going to be able to start wearing down this Slowking. He's got a really hard check to the Serena. Slowking's going to come back in. We're just going to get a lot of switching around. This is why Hazards is really important, and with the lack of Hazard control in the South, I figured people probably would have been more, what's the word? People would have been found it more urgent to try to get up Hazards. It hasn't been the case. As you can see, the Poison Jab gets blocked here. This probably would have been an opportunity, I think. Oh yeah, see Hazards go up there. That's great. I don't think the Iron Defense was a good play. I don't think it was worth it. Obviously, you can take on this Slowking pretty well. And also, that Grass Knot seems to be to try to catch an incoming Rotom Wash. Not really worth it to try to do. Rotom Wash is so light that I think Grass Knot's only 20 to 40 base power. So just... I think that he would have been better served by throwing up Future Sights, forcing the Ting-Lu to come in, which would have given him openings for other Pokemon to maybe make a splash. I think we've seen in the past few seasons how good Future Sight is on these Chilly Reception Slowkings, because it forces switches, which gives you an opportunity to Chilly Reception. You get a nice slow switch into a better Pokemon, a better matchup rather. And plus you get Regenerator. See, this is why you probably shouldn't have Iron Defense, because now you have your Steel type really low. You gotta find an opportunity to heal that up. And just really, he's trying to chip down here. Good Chilly Reception out there, but yeah, now he's got to go for U-turns. He's really trying to get back in this game. And Darren can kind of play it super safe. I like that's him playing to the choke right there. He's U-turning, hoping he can catch like a Skarmory or something, be able to kill it, and get an easy KO. Clearing out the rocks late game here. By the way, real quick pause. I was kind of excited here for a second after the rapid spin, because it's like, oh man, if he has high jump kick and triple axle, then in power whip, he can actually beat these 6 Pokemon here. But he had already shown knockoff and U-turn, so unfortunately it doesn't have the move set for it. But Serena can position herself in that way to, try to make a big comeback. Oh, whoops, I skipped to the end there, but we only missed like 1 or 2 turns. Flare Blitz, and then Sneasel gets the win with close combat. No need to like over-predict, and then you can come in, and even if it's Scarf, dodge a close combat with Dragapult and get the Dragon Darts off. Really methodical, slow-paced, but very effective win for Darren. Mike's still trying to find his footing with this new team down here. Maybe it's going to the south side and rocking the Squirtles. Maybe he should have stuck in Washington, where I think the fans were just a little bit more, they seem to be a little bit more into the team at the time. But now we can move on to our next game. Moving on, we have Connor taking on Tyler. So just kind of looking at team preview, you know what? Kudos to Connor. I figured he was just going to bring the same 6 Pokemon every single week, but Dusclops is here. So, that's a little different, but we do see all the Pokemon that, I figured he'd bring. I still think he's a little bit limited on what he can do hazard-wise, but we'll get into that in a little bit. So we see the Dusclops lead versus the Raikou. They're pressuring each other. Get a hard Thunderbolt into the Gliscor switch as Stealth Rocks go up. Good start there. Also, you want to get rid of the leftovers on the Mudsdale. That's great. So, bad luck here on the Roar. I don't mind the Roar play. I actually think it's pretty good. Unfortunately, brings out a Volcanion. And then, as you can see, so Tyler chooses to stay in on this Volcanion. You're a water type. Now, granted, I don't really think he has many good switches. If he had like an AV Archaludon or something, I think that would be good, but he doesn't have any good switches, this Volcanion. It lets us go down. Now he's going to go into Lycanroc. Yet another water-weak Pokemon. If you hit the Stone Edge, you're good. So, goes for the Stone Edge. Hits it on Gliscor. Does a pretty good amount of HP, but Gliscor is going to get 12% back, putting him well outside of Stone Edge range, unless he gets a crit, which... What is it at this stage? Is it... It's a 12.5% chance to crit on a Stone Edge. So, I mean, not terrible, but probably wouldn't be worth staying in. We get a hard switch into Raikou, which is an interesting call, because if I'm Gliscor, I mean, I guess I'm probably going for Earthquake here. It hits everything on the team with the exception of Meowscarada. Like, U-turn or Earthquake was probably coming out here. Because everything on the team is weak to ground with the exception of Meowscarada. And even then, I think you probably just want to go ahead and chip that, get a little bit more recovery. And he switches hard into this Raikou, which takes this Earthquake and nearly dies. He's willing to stay in there and take a Scald and finish off this Raikou. Probably worth it, because there's not a lot left on this team that can really threaten him. Now we see him go right back out into the Lycanroc. We see the Gliscor Protect. Now we know the whole moveset, so I would say now is probably the time you go into Meowscarada to try to force this Gliscor out. And we see these Cellrock come out. I'm torn on whether I think that is a good play by Tyler to not burn PP on Stone Edge, or if that was a bad call because he thought it would actually KO. I'm inclined to think, I don't know. It's hard to say for sure, but this Gliscor is cleaning up here. It's got 2 KOs against, Pokemon that shouldn't have been trying to take it on. Now we finally get the Meowscarada to come out. It's going to go for the knockoff as this Gliscor tries to recover. This Gliscor's not going to be able to take that knockoff. Something to note there, though. We did see this Meowscarada, when it came in on rocks, did not take hazard damage. So we know the Meowscarada is not choice locked in any way. That'll be interesting later. So we get this Archaludon versus the Baxcalibur. Baxcalibur gets a free Dragon Dance opportunity. Is able to clean KO this Archaludon. I guess not clean KO because it was at 94%. I looked at that roll. That is a roll severely in Archaladon's favor to live, assuming it's not like defensive invested. If it's defense invested at all, it was, I don't know, like Adamant, Earthquake, Baxcalibur, KOing Archaladon from that range is an astronomically unlikely thing. I shouldn't say that. Not astronomically unlikely. At worst, it's, what, 1 in 16. So that is, I don't know, like 3% or something. Yeah, but rolls aren't hacks, I guess. But it just seems like it would not have been hard to make it so Archaladon was not KO'd by that. Now we see the Goldengo come out. This thing just showed Earthquake. This should be an easy pickup on the KO but he goes for Glaive Rush, which is kind of crazy, because then it means he can die to this Make It Rain. He could have just gone for another Earthquake and been fine. Even like, I think even Shuka Berry, because Glaive Rush is, what's Glaive Rush? It's like 120 base power. Let's just say it is. Stab. So that means it's 180, but half means it's equivalent to a 90 base power move. A neutral 90 base power move did 56%. So that means a super effective 100 base power move would have easily KO'd this. I think even through Shuka Berry. Because it's essentially like a 200 base power move. If Shuka then be halved, so it'd be 100. I guess it would have been around the same roll, but I don't know why you go for Glaive Rush there. Just totally, like, really all you're doing is checking if he has, if he has Shuka, and even then Shuka Earthquake still does slightly more. I don't know, don't like the play. But now we have Dusclops coming in. What an odd choice. Dusclops can't take on Goldengo. I mean, it's just gonna get Shadow Balled and probably KO'd. Well, it is at -1 special attack. Maybe this is Spadef Dusclops. No, turns into a fire type and goes for the fire punch, KOs. So calc's been done. Actually, I haven't done the calc. Maybe I did do the calc. Can't remember. Connor said that this is a choice banded max attack Dusclops, which I guess makes sense because I don't think I've ever seen a Dusclops take 40% from a Thunder Punch. That seems like so much damage. Yeah, and that Fire Punch does a great deal of damage too. Able to get the KO. Don't know why I went for another Thunder Punch here. He's obviously not choice locked. Didn't have to do that, but he is going to go down. Connor's going to pick up the win over Tyler. And even there you can see he knocked off Heavy Duty Boots, not a choice. So that was a weird call. You know, Connor, I think he made some mistakes, but nothing, you know, I don't think he needed to like play his ass off, because I think Tyler did not play well and put himself in a tough situation, and Connor was able to come in with non-optimal plays and still win. I mean, look, I love Terra Fire Choice Band Dusclops. It's like a crazy unnecessary thing that is just, it ended up turning out to be really cool. So I'm not gonna rag on it by any means. It's just, you know, I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like this is optimal play and this is the way Dusclops should be played. But honestly, kind of an easy win for Connor there. Tyler gave him a lot of openings. Yeah, I think that's all I had to say about this. We can move on to the next one. The next one, we've got Mitch taking on Zane. Yeah, nothing really super stands out to me at Team Preview here, but something we do have to note is, again, Mitch doesn't have any hazard support. So we see the Rabombi here probably going to be trying to get up webs pretty early. We have a rocker over here in Iron Treads, also probably going to be trying to get the rocks up and keep his opponent's hazards away. So Mitch is going to have to be just playing with hazards up a lot of the time. So we're going to hop into it. Nice lead for Zane here, able to force out the Ogerpon and get the webs up right away. These webs are here all game, nothing to do. And then also gets a para on the Tornadus, manages to live there. Like this is like a perfect situation. He gets hit by the Bleakwind Storm, but he lives with the Focus Sash as he gets the Stun Spore off. So now hazards are up, Torn is paralyzed, able to get off a fast light screen here on a full para, and then you turn out just to be able to save that as a sack in the back. Just perfect, like, organization of things here. I don't know. I think we see in a game in the north somebody else using light screen and or reflect on a Pokemon that doesn't have light clay. I don't like that at all. I don't really think it's ever worth a turn to set that up if it's not going to last for the full amount of time. Because like he sets it up here, that's 5 of 4. And now after this turn, he's at 4 of 4. Hasn't benefited from it yet. Heat Train's going to come out. He's probably going to benefit on this turn, assuming that he doesn't just set up rocks. So big dodge there. Is a 4x resist. That light screen didn't matter again. And then we see go hard into Clodsire. Now this is kind of an interesting thing here. Clodsire coming in because Clodsire is one of those Pokemon like Clefable that has Unaware and another useful ability. So it's hard to want to set up in front of it, like, because you don't know what it is. If this is Unaware and you keep setting up, you're just wasting your own time and, you know, resources on that Pokemon when it's not really going to matter. So he goes hard into Rabombi just so we can get a clean switch. That's good. There goes the light screen. Rabombi's light screen did nothing in this game, which is, I'm just bringing up my point again. See a Hurricane come out. Does actually really good damage. This really feels like an offensive Zapdos to a Fizdef Clodsire. Like, I know that Zapdos is kind of naturally offensive, and likely this is Fizdef Clodsire. But man, that feels like that did a lot, because Clodsire has like good base Spadef. Stealth Rocks go up. This is... we'll talk about it in a second here. But we see another Hurricane come off. Unfortunate miss. Now this Clodsire's back to full HP. No reason to stay in. We get the Melodic to come in as the Toxic Spikes go up. I want to say... Oh boy, rough. I forgot about that. I think it's good that Mitch is trying to play the hazard game, even though he can't keep his hazards away. Or, sorry, keep hazards off his side of the field. He's at least pressuring his opponent, trying to buy turns. Like, this is going to be a turn where you have to bring in Iron Treads and Rapid Spin at some point. So, I think that's good, especially now that you've seen the whole host of moves here. Earthquake, Stealth Rock, Recover, Toxic Spikes. You know its only offensive move is Earthquake. That means Zapdos is always a really safe switch, and we do see later that Iron Treads is on a balloon, so it's also a super safe switch. He's always going to be able to control the hazard game. Along with his freeze, even safer. Yeah, see, we see the balloon go off here, so it's always a free switch in. So Clodsire being frozen really sucks, but the pace of this game and, like, just Clodsire's existence, the fact that it could be Unaware or Water Absorb, really slows down a lot of the Mons on Zane's team. Like, Iron Treads can fire off Earthquakes, sure, but, like, that doesn't... He doesn't, but the Clodsire also shouldn't be in, since even if it's thawed, it can't damage it because it's on a balloon. Until that balloon's popped, this is kind of like... The Clodsire shouldn't be here, so that means the only thing that can really threaten it right now is the Iron Treads, and it shouldn't threaten it because there's no reason for Clodsire to be here. You know what I mean? Yeah, so we see it switch out hard right there. Rapid Spin goes off, able to get rid of those hazards there. Ivy Cudgel comes out. Now, beneficial to Mitch here is that Ivy Cudgel, while being a physical move, is not actually a contact move. So, big help there that he doesn't have to worry about a static para. Whimsicott's gonna come in, dodges the Hurricane. That's pretty big. Another interesting play here is we're gonna see it Terra Rock and set up a light screen. Okay, I'm of two minds about this. One, you weren't gonna outspeed this Zapdos anyways because you're -1 speed because of the Sticky Web, which sucks. And I don't think turning Terra Rock was the surprise factor that was going to allow you to live a Hurricane from Zapdos anyways, if you were to go for it again. Adding the light screen on top of that, I don't think is worth your time. I think he should have just gone for Terra Blast, assuming he has it. He should. Yeah, he does, see? Yeah, I don't like how all that went down. And there's Zane, I think, smartly scouting for a Moonblast. And Mitch is taking every opportunity he can to break through this freeze. I got to give him a lot of credit for that. What turn are we at? Let's control F. Frozen solid. So he's been frozen for 3 turns now. So the way freeze works, for those of you who aren't aware, is just every turn you're frozen, it's a 10% chance for you to break out of it. The only ways to get out of it are there's certain fire moves that you can use that will thaw you, along with Scald, or if you're hit by a fire move or Scald, then you will thaw. But otherwise, it's just a 10% chance, which is awful. So he's just going to stay here for a while behind this light screen, which look, this light screen actually kind of really comes in handy here. So I guess I can't bag on it too much. Because he's only taking 14%. He's getting 7% or 6% back from the leftovers. That means he's only losing 8 HP per turn while this light screen is up. So I think that's probably worth it to take that 8 HP per turn, try to get out of it. And he does. He gets out, he puts up stealth rocks. And now we're going to be in this little cycle for a while as Clodsire tries to stay healthy. And now we learn that it's water absorb. So that's good and bad. One, it means he can really kind of head off this Melodic. This Melodic's not too scary to him. Even with light screen down, he's going to be doing like 28%. That's like, you know, with leftovers and everything, probably like a 5-hit KO if he doesn't click recover ever. So that's really good. I think Zane's probably wasting some time here by not just going hard into Iron Treads every time Clodsire's here. Playing this game with Melodic, I should probably actually put it on like hyper fast for a little bit until something changes, because that's what we see for a while. We see a lot of ice beams come out, a lot of earthquakes come out, and then just recover. I don't think this is the game that Zane should be playing. I think he is in a position to really pressure more than Mitch is. So there, we finally get the switch. And also we saw it a couple of times, this Melodic started throwing out Draining Kisses. That's because he's only got 7 ice beams left. So he's trying to preserve those because he needs them. Like, those are important for the remainder of this game. He wants to avoid running out of them. So Iron Treads comes out here. We get hard into Torn T. Rapid Spin goes off. Now we're probably going to see a slow U-turn here to try to break the balloon. Totally worth it for Mitch to lose that HP on Torn to be able to break the balloon. Now Clodsire can actually manage to take it on. Same thing with Ursaluna Blood Moon. I'm going to bring out the Melodic Substitute. I don't hate this. This probably would have worked better if he did still have a light screen up, because I don't know if that Scald would have broken the sub. We can do the math here in a second and figure it out. So, yeah, with the light screen, yeah. If light screen was up, that Scald would not have been able to break a +1 special defense substitute. But anyways, we do see a +1 special attack. Blood Moon come out, not able to pick up the KO. I don't think he should have switched here. I think this is a bad play, because we just saw that Scald do 44%, and so that means unless he gets like a crit on the Scald, then he wasn't going to be able to do a get a follow-up KO. So if he had Moonlight or Hyper Voice or Earth Power, should have gone for it here and finished off the Melodic. The Melodic is not something he deals with really well. He could have gotten it out of play, and Mitch decided to not do that. So we're back to the Clodsire Melodic business for a while. We're going to go back on Hyper Fast just until we get out of that, because it's more the same. It's just kind of stalling. It's PP stalling here. That's all that's going on. There we go. I like him trying to come in. Like, this is a good opportunity for Ogerpon Wellspring to come in. Maybe get off a Power Whip here. Just ends up going for knockoff. Kind of unfortunate, because I do think Zane's playing a little bit fast and loose with this Melodic. And Mitch just isn't kind of capitalizing on the turns that he could KO it. Like, he could have gone for a grass move at any point there, and he just never did. Down to only 2 ice beams on this Melodic here. Toxic Spikes are going to go back up. Now, Zane has to be a little bit more careful about if Iron Treads comes in, because it's not free anymore. He's going for Earthquakes on random turns just to try to bait out this Iron Treads, yeah. And just kind of keep this Melodic a little bit at bay. No more leftovers anymore means that it's not winning the 1v1 game quite as easy. And also, good thing to note, and I like what Mitch is doing here, just going for Toxic Spikes and Stealth Rocks, because he's got so much PP on those, he can go ahead and burn them, force the Melodic to burn its resources, because if Melodic runs out of Ice Beams, if it runs low on Draining Kiss, because Draining Kiss, it's not a big deal if Melodic's going for Draining Kisses. Those aren't super threatening moves. So he wants to run those Recovers down, run those Ice Beams down. Once that Ice Beam is out, there's the last one. And now that all that can do is Draining Kiss. I think he did it. That was a well-timed switch to get the Iron Treads in. Also, I don't know if we see... it doesn't matter. Because, yeah, he knew he had to recover on that turn. I think that was a really well-timed thing. I think this Rapid Spin is totally worth it. Getting rid of those, having the Clodsire stay in, still be able to get 66% off. Now, this looks kind of like a bad spot for Zane, because he's down 4-6, but I still think he's at a much stronger position. This Clodsire is weakened, only has 1 Recover left. We have a Paralyzed Tornadus. We have a 50% Ursaluna Blood Moon, 34% on Ogerpon. Everything is kind of weakened, and he's got a lot of great information. He does know that this, the Tauros Aqua is actually kind of, it's really interesting here because it can't really start going for Raging Bull yet because there's 2 water immunities on the team. But he definitely has an opening once that goes down, because the other Pokemon on the team, like this, that just went down. That's a water immunity down. Whimsicott's weak to water now because it's a rock type. Tornadus on low HP, fire type, ground type. He's in a great spot with the Paldean Tauros. He's also going to be in a good spot with the Gouging Fire. Oh, awesome double switch here. I love this. So let's take it back. So we see the hard switch. We see the switch into Melodic. This is screaming like this is, hey, all I can really afford to do is go for Scald against the Heatran. Zane reads that, and he's going to get in Gouging Fire against the Clodsire. He knows that this is not unaware Clodsire. He knows the Earthquakes aren't going to be doing that much, and he can start to Dragon Dance against it. Because, I mean, what's stopping him now? 28% plus he gets the leftover discovery back. He can Dragon Dance to his heart's content. I don't think he should have started Dragon Clawing here. I think he should have kept Dragon Dancing until he was going to be in a spot that Dragon Claw was going to be able to KO Heatran from 70%. Spoiler alerts, he doesn't do that. He stops at +2 and then starts attacking, which I see why he's doing that, but I think he could have been in a better HP situation and also a strength situation if he had just continued to Dragon Dance Morning Sun, Dragon Dance Morning Sun. He could have easily got it for +6 and got the last 5 KOs from here. I think this is kind of an impatient way to play it, because you can see that since he has to go for Dragon Claw, that's a 3-hit KO from this range. He's not going to be able to pick that up, but the 2 water absorb Pokemon are down, so it doesn't matter too much because now you can Scald with impunity. He could have been more aggressive here and gone hard into Paldean Tauros Aqua, Tauros Paldea Aqua, Tom Morello, and just clicked Raging Bull 4 times and picked up 4 KOs. But he is playing it much safer and slower, I think potentially to his detriment, but yeah, you can see how little that's doing there. Blood Moon's going to be able to pick up a KO here, but now he's going to be able to do what I talked about, and he's going to Terra Water and clean up with Paldean Tauros. So well done, Zane. I think he played kind of a slow game. Mitch really gave it a good fight. I think Mitch played okay in this. I don't think he played bad by any means. But I do think he made some team building mistakes that he's got to watch out for. But I think I'm going to leave it at that. I think we can move on to our next game. And our next game is our marquee match of the week.
Marquee match of the week. Now we have a theme.
So yeah, that is going to be Michael versus Zhang. Both of these teams had kind of a weird start in week 1. I don't remember what happened, but I feel like they both. I know Michael lost. I can't remember what Zeng did. Hang on, let me look at the schedule. What happened with Zeng? Okay, Zeng got off to a win here. He's looking to continue his winning ways. So, oh boy, we got stuff to talk about here. So, we got Ice Horse versus Malamar. Gonna Terra Ground, avoid super effective damage on the superpower. I'm all behind that, okay? I like that. Now he's starting to get a little stronger. See the Icicle Crash come out, not so great. Now, you have an Intimidate Pokemon come in on... Honestly, Zeng could have kept going for superpowers here and things would have gotten out of hand fast. So now this Malamar is stronger than it should be. Clean KO on Arcanine. Not good. Umbreon's going to come out. Now, unfortunately for Umbreon, that's just going to encourage more superpowering. And barely misses out on a KO here. If he had superpowered the incoming Arcanine, then that would have been a clean KO, no problem. And I think we probably see potentially a Malamar 6-0 as we see a Toxic fly off here. I think he should have probably protected on this upcoming turn. Try to get that Toxic counter to rack up a little bit more. I like the Babiri Berry. Shame we didn't get to see it come into play. I'm also a little bit skeptical about the Babiri Berry now that I'm thinking about it, because the only steel moves you're really going to be taking are from this Tachyon Cutter Iron Crown, and you're only going to get the benefits of the Babiri Berry on the first Tachyon Cutter hit. So it basically turns, I think Tachyon's 50-50, like it does 50 on the first hit, 50 on the second hit. If I'm wrong on that, adjust my numbers. But so a Babiri Berry, if on like 100 base power steel move, would make it basically a 50 base power steel move. But Babiri Berry is only going to activate on one of those Tachyon Cutter hits, so it would really make it a 25 base power move and a 50 base power move, so it's only a 75 base power move. I don't think Babiri Berry was the right way to go with this. I'd be surprised if that was super important in the calcs. But yeah, just wanted to bring that up. But now you go into Enamorous T, which is not going to be faster than this Malamar that is now at +3 and gets another KO here. Now we go into Umbreon. If this Umbreon had protected the first time it was in, then this Toxic counter, you can see it right here, he would have already taken another 25 damage. He would have been at 3%. This Umbreon can come in and just hit Protect again, and this Malamar is dead. We don't get that. We get this Malamar knocking it off, getting yet another KO, and now it's at 3%. Now the Walking Weight comes out, Scalds gets KO, Dunzo. He also could have Protect. You know what? I guess I'm assuming Umbreon has Protect, because that's just what you have to do. Like, you have to run Protect Umbreon. It's the law. So maybe he didn't have it. If he didn't, I think that is probably a tactical error, especially then going for Toxic seems like a weird play, because you're in a bad position. You're down 3-5. It's rough going for you here, okay? You really are. It's going to be hard for you to fight back. You're going to need some help. But we do have this Booster Energy Walking Wake in here. Unfortunately, it's Thunder Wave, but that's just what you do when you're facing something like this. Zeng is going to sack the Volbeat to lock this in here. I figured he was going to kind of take that as a setup opportunity. Maybe go into Raging Bolt here if it had like Calm Mind, or maybe go into Drifblim if that was going to try to set up. But we don't see that. I like the Snarl play there. I think that's really smart against this team. We see Trick Room go up and a Moonlight come off, and I think that's putting him in that's putting Michael in a better position. The knockoff, there goes the Assault Vest. That's going to help with its killability in a little bit. But now he's down 2-4. And he hasn't even, these three mons haven't even hit the field yet. So now we got Calyrex Ice coming in. He's got one turn of Trick Room up. Good news is he's got, this is the matchup you want. Like, going for, this is a 50-50, I think. Like, Zeng's got to be like, is he going to go for a ground move trying to hit this or catch my Iron Crown? Or is he going to go for an ice move trying to hit this or catch one of my other two Pokemon on a switch? Zeng's kind of in a rough spot there because I don't think there's a good answer for what he should do. What ends up happening is he stays in, eats the Icicle Crash. I think that's probably an okay call. I don't think Raging Bolt was a good fit for what he's got left here. Great Tusk is going to come in, just go for the Ice Spinner. Not going to be able to do much to this Cresselia. Now, hard switch back to Drifloon. I don't get the Moonblast. Oh, never mind. I do get the Moonblast here. Well, I get the Moon... not that I don't get the Moonblast. Sorry. I don't get how it managed to be super effective, because it shouldn't have been, because this is I think Zen getting a little cute, because he Terra's fighting, so that way he has Terra Blast fighting, because fighting and Ghost is like perfect coverage, right? And then he goes for Curse, so that way he can it functions like this and not how Curse functions when Ghosts use it. And then gets the whiter boost. I struggle with this because this is not a bad set, especially if he's not fighting Trick Room. But unfortunately, bothering to do this in Trick Room, I think, is not worth it. I think it honestly would have been better for him to regular Curse here, stay a Ghost type, just click Curse, put a Curse on this Cresselia so that way it couldn't stay in. I think that would have been the better play in this scenario. But he doesn't do that. He gets this Curse up and then he's easily to a kid. The crit there, it didn't matter, right? I don't think it mattered at that point. Honestly, the Cresselia is just too hard for the remainder of Zeng's team to KO. Yeah, you see these Tachyon Cutters coming out, doing decent damage. I think Michael makes, I don't know, it's kind of a weird play here because you see this last Tachyon Cutter come out, doesn't get the KO. There's 3 turns of Trick Room left. Iron Crown can't switch out. It's the last Pokemon. If this Cresselia dies, then that's an easy time for Glacier to come in, go for high horsepower, pick up the KO, and you're done. So the Moonlight play really just feels like stat padding in a way. I don't think that's really what he was doing, but I just don't. It didn't have a tactical benefit really, because we're gonna see a very similar situation arise here in a little bit. We're going to see the Trick Room go up, then he goes for Grass Knot and gets Tachyon Cuttered and killed. This is exactly where he could have been like multiple turns ago, because we just finished off with a single high horsepower. The only way that is like because I don't know, I guess on the first turn that it happened, however many turns ago, he would have only had 2 turns of Trick Room remaining, so he could have lost had he missed 2 consecutive. If he had missed 2 consecutive high horsepowers, and then he could have gotten hit with 3 Tachyon Cutters, but I'll be honest, I think 2 would have KO'd. So I don't know. 1 in 400 chance to lose that game, and you moved it to a 1 in 8,000 potentially, but I still don't even think the calcs line up on that. I don't know. Sometimes I criticize people when they win, and I shouldn't do that, but I do. Look, he really fought back from the brink here. He dug himself a hole by the way he played against the Malamar, Michael did. But he played a smart, safe endgame. Zen got a little too cutesy, and it cost him. So well done to Michael, and I guess we can move on to ad drops and stuff that happened, which we didn't have too many. Connor was looking to make some changes to his team. Decided to drop Jirachi because he didn't feel like he was going to be bringing a lot and pick up Gengar. Gives him a lot better special attacker. But you know what? What did I say in his thing, like, oh, you're weak on special attackers? Because I don't think I did. Because he had Volcanion and Thundurus. I don't know. But he picks up that, so that is definitely a change that people. And what was my issue with his team? I don't know, I probably had a lot. I think it mostly had to do with all these cheap Pokemon that don't accomplish anything. Except for Dusclops, apparently. I guess I really shouldn't be discounting Dusclops because it did what it had to do this week. We also had the Southside Squirtles dropping Altaria and... Oh, that's spelled wrong, but I don't care anymore. You guys know what I'm talking about. Fizzendipity, right? Oh, I'm not framed up right. My bad. There we go. Fizzendipity. I'm gonna see if I can fix it. Fizzendipity. There we go. That looks correct, I guess. What a dumb Pokemon. Fizzendipity. And picks up Sylveon. So, consolidating a little bit in terms of, like, because he had 12 Pokemon. Altaria didn't really add much for his team other than just being a defogger. Sylveon's a much better special attacker than either Fezandipiti or Altaria, and it gave him just a proper defensive fairy type, so he doesn't have to rely so much on Fezandipiti or Carbink for those roles. Also, interesting thing, Sylveon uses Hyper Voice a lot. Zora or Kasui can use Hyper Voice, so that's kind of fun. Little helps with the disguise there. And then we have the San Francisco is that what they? Santa Fe Suicune, excuse me. Yeah, and they're on the screen here. Dropping Berserker and Torterra to pick up Donphan, and dropping Abomasnow to pick up Brute Bonnet. So, yeah, got some changes here. Still haven't seen Calyrex hit the field, so that's something to note. Man, Abomasnow's another I think I've drafted Abomasnow before, and the problem is, like, you think, oh, this is going to be, this can set Hail, it's got priority, it's a grass type, it still checks the things that grass types check, like ground types, I guess, for the most part. It still does those things, and other grass types. But Ice is just a terrible typing to put on defensive Pokemon, so it can't be defensive. It's too slow and weak to be offensive. And sure, it does get the defense boost from setting up its own Hail, but I always find it really lacking. It's basically just a Pokemon that's there for Aurora Veil, and I made my opinions on Aurora Veil known last season after I dropped my Aurora Veil Pokemon and changed how my team was functioning. So there's that. Brute Bonnet. I think we've seen Brute Bonnet do pretty well in the past few seasons. Not like a World Eater or anything, but definitely does kind of change the way teams playing because they have to worry about Spore. Like that in the Dark Grass type, we see there's a couple Pokemon that are Dark Grass, Shiftry and Cacturne, and offensively, I think they're typically pretty effective, but those are incredibly frail and also kind of mixed Pokemon. Brute Bonnet is a little bit more specialized in the way it's designed as a Pokemon, along with having Spore. So I think I like that for it. He's kind of got a pseudo Sun team here because he's got the Walking Wake and he's got Brute Bonnet, and Arcanine doesn't mind being in the sun. If you're gonna bother to have 1-point Pokemon on your team, Calyrex could probably be a Vulpix, just saying. I think that adds a dimension to your team that it doesn't currently have. But that's just my opinion on it. Seeing Berserker and Torterra go, Berserker's tough. Because now he doesn't have a Steel type, unfortunately. That could be a problem, but also Berserker's not a very good Steel type, so I think he'd probably look somewhere else for that. He's still got 3 Add-drops if he wants to make some in the future. Donphan, fantastic hazard control. It feels like such a splashable mon. Donphan's a good Pokemon. I like it a lot. Gives him another hazard clearing option that isn't just Mortal Spin on Glamora. So I'm on board with this. I like the Donphan pickup a lot. Because also, did he not have his ground type before was Torterra. This is just a ground type you can bring on a lot more hits. Also gives him another hazard setter, which if I'm looking, he had Glamora, king of hazard setters. But I like these changes for him. Let's go. I don't think stats are up, are they? No, that's fine. If they were, we're going to talk about them, but they're not, so we won't. So let's look at matchups for next week. So Papcoon had this week off after coming off a tough loss to Zane. Looks to maybe bounce back against Mike, who's currently struggling to find his feet with his team. Zane's going to take the week off after being off to, honestly, a pretty hot start. I like what he's got going on. Darren versus Michael. Excited to see that. Darren came out of the gate real strong there. Michael... really good showing this week after a tough loss in week 1. See how he comes back. Tyler versus Mitch. I'm not going to sit here and pretend I know what the hell Tyler's going to do, but despite the loss, I liked what I saw out of Mitch this week. So hopefully he can keep that up. Then Connor and Zhang. Man, these two guys like to bring crazy sets. we'll see if that happens again. Should be interesting. But I think that wraps it up here for the South. Thank you all for listening. I'll see you next week. Goodbye.